You must be living completely in a basement if you have not heard about Uvalde. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the most useless department in Biden's administration, the DOJ, that every time there's a unarmed black man shot, they find a way to push the case back out because they don't do a darn thing. They now want to investigate the police and their response in Uvalde. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the DOJ is largely responsible for these air light sentences that the insurrectionists got. So you can get a good idea of their effectiveness, which is nothing. So I guess because there's such a big public outcry, the DOJ launches an investigation into police response to Uvalde school shooting. And you can see them standing under this tree, and they're just standing around drinking bottled water as children were being killed inside the building. And at another point, y'all, they were just standing around inside the school in the hallway and not moving and doing anything, just standing there listening to the shots. So, the US government on Sunday announced a federal investigation into the police response to the mass shooting at the Texas school 5 days ago as anger mounted over why armed officers waited more than an hour in the hall outside the classroom where the gunman killed 19 children and two teachers and wounded others. The U.S. Department of Justice said it will conduct a critical incident review of the law enforcement action in a small Texas city of Uvalde. Last Tuesday, the goal of the review is to provide an independent account of law enforcement actions and responses that day and to notify lessons learned and best practices to help first responders prepare for and respond to active shooter events, the DOJ spokesperson said, Anthony Coley. Now, I don't know why they are not including Buffalo because those cops were there. The mass shooter walked outside. They didn't even attempt to go in for him at all. And so I don't know why this is worthy of the DOJ to investigate, but not Buffalo. Just putting that out there. Uvalde School District Police Chief, he was in command of the incident and response, in which the state officials said failing to storm in the classroom where the gunman was barricaded was the wrong decision. Remained out of sight and under police protection on Sunday. All right. So, of course, the politicians are coming forward and they're all outraged and over the shooting. And, they're, of course, saying more deaths happened because of the inaction. One mother was saying, and a first responder that they eventually talked to said that their child lightly bled out. Wow. And so many things went wrong. Although, the police chief said responsibility should not be on just one police officer. At the end of the day, everyone failed. We failed. These children, he said, including lawmakers, failing to pass stricter gun safety laws. Well, your problem is a lot deeper than that. Your problem is you have let people do whatever they want up in this society with no consequences. Maybe if you would just be harsh on some of these people, you would see less of these things happening, but you don't do it for obvious reasons. So the gunman who caused carnage at Robb Elementary School was a local 18-year-old Salvador Ramos. And who had reportedly made violent threats on social media and boasted about guns. But yes, he did those things. And how come nobody on social media reported him? You got in all of your in your contracts that you have out there, and you say that you call the authorities when something is wrong. But in this case, you failed to do so. I just think y'all call the authorities whenever you feel like it. At the end of the day, that's what it is. He legally bought assault rifles and hundreds of rounds of ammunition he took into the school. During the time, he had locked and barricaded himself into a classroom with the children and their teachers. One child made 6 calls to 911 emergency number to plead for help from police, even as officers were right outside the door. They were right in the hallway. They could have easily. Look at how many people on this SWAT team were there, and you got just one shooter, but nobody would go in after him. This is an American police problem. Okay, it's just that this police department is getting a lot of exposure, but the other ones that are like this, where they're very reluctant to go after somebody with a gun, but if some black man or woman is just simply minding their business, walking down the street unarmed, they come jumping out of a car like Billy Badass on them. But, it's amazing how even when they are 20 and 30 deep, they still won't go after an active shooter, but they'll come at a black man like that. But you want us to believe that good police work is being done up in here, and we know better. We know that it's not. All right. So ultimately, it was the federal agents from Border Patrol, not Uvalde Police Department or the separate city police force that has a part-time tactical SWAT team that confronted the gunman and killed him. This appeared to be against state protocol to confront the attacker rapidly. Criticism of law enforcement response came from both sides of the political divide. Texas Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw, a former Navy SEAL, told CNN the fact that it took Border Patrol an hour later to come in and actually do the job for the police is pretty embarrassing. It does seem clear protocols weren't followed, Crenshaw added. So let the investigation play out. It is hard not to see how someone doesn't get fired for this, for these very, very bad calls. On Friday, Steve McCraw, head of the Texas Department of Public Safety, admitted that the delay in storming the classroom had been the wrong decision. Well, why are so many of you in these big fancy positions and you make bad decisions? I think everything should be overhauled. Don't just get rid of these officers, get rid of the police chief, get rid of everybody that was involved in delaying this whole thing. I don't care what position they're in. Whoever made the call, every last one of them, and all of these cops should all be fired and charged. They need to be brought up on charges too. All right. So, a neighbor, Lydia Torres, told the New York Post that, these police are cowards, and she said they failed to do their job. They failed the children. And, they're all failures, this whole thing, you know, and nobody feels better because the police chief is walking up to the mic saying we failed. Nobody who's supposed to feel better about this. These children can't come back. or the two teachers that were killed. And I don't think Buffalo should be left out of the investigation, because those cops didn't go in, and they were there when that shooting was going on the inside. That should be on the DOJ's list, the do nothing DOJ. So, ladies and gentlemen, Florida Congresswoman and former Orlando Police Chief Val Demings demanded a complete investigation, telling CBS, "We have more questions than answers." Yeah, we got a lot of questions when it comes down to Buffalo, too. But y'all, please tell me what you think about this article. This is nothing new. We knew your police departments run like this. And see, this is what you get when nobody's ever accountable for the things they do here in America. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.